From cave walls to canvases, the human mind has always been fascinated with drama and creativity. Firelight, pigment, now silicon and digital. We weren't built to just remember, we were built to imagine. Imagination separates us from the primitive. It took us from the surface of the earth to the moon and beyond. It turned love, a chemical sequence, into romance. Cinema is that impulse engineered. That's why the film look isn't just nostalgia, it's biology. Many try to emulate it, they follow the rules and get stuck. But here's the thing, in creativity, there are no rules, only results. In today's video, I'm going to show you the exact process for engineering that feeling, how I shape exposure and contrast, map color science, and carve skin tones. I'm going to give you a bulletproof plan, no plugins needed, just DaVinci Resolve to take your footage and express your thoughts like a true artist. Let's grade. So first things first, I'm in DaVinci Resolve Studio 20, but I'm going to open up a new project and I'm going to call it Demo. Before we do anything, you want to head down to your project settings, okay? You want to go to your color management and make sure if you're using an Apple computer, like a MacBook, make sure it's on Rec 709A. If not, you can leave that. And then you're going to go over to general options. And this is really important. Make sure that your settings look just like this, because these are what I found to be the best match for what I see on my monitor to what gets uploaded on YouTube. You want to make sure at least you have S-curves for contrast, and that's going to give you the most filmic look, okay? Apart from that, you should be good to go. Now, I'm going to import some media, okay? So I've got some stock footage in here so you can see what it looks like with any footage. And first things first, let's throw our demo clip onto here. So as we can see, we're over here with some log footage. I'm going to add 6 nodes. Option S is a good shortcut. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And the reason for that is because I'm going to be working in a 3-part compound system, which is what I've been doing for the past year, which I have found to be the cleanest and most efficient way. So I'm going to create a compound node here, create a compound node here, and create a compound node here. Okay. We're going to label this. And you always want to do labels. We're going to label this as input, look, output. Perfect. So first what we need to do is we need to tell DaVinci that we have our input. What is the footage that's coming in? Then in this one, we're going to be building our film look. And over here, we're going to do final adjustments, add a Kodak finish to it, and then my own personal LUTs, which by the way, you can use any LUTs that you want. Okay, so this first demonstration is going to be a pretty basic overview, and then I'm going to show you the power of power grades. So let's go into our input. First thing we want to do is we want to input a CST, a color space transform. Now, I use color space transforms because as you can see in my project settings that I told you to copy at the start, okay, we were working in a color science of DaVinci YRGB, not color managed. Okay, I prefer YRGB so that I can use color space transforms, and this was filmed with Arilog C3. Okay, and then I'm going to convert it to DaVinci Wide Gamut, and the reason why you want to do that is DaVinci Wide Gamut is a very open and wide color space, and is actually quite the most optimized platform for editing within DaVinci. Okay, so we've converted that. Then we want to go to our output and do the same thing, but now convert DaVinci into Rec 709. Now we can see exactly what was shot on the camera. Now first things first, we will cover exposure, and then we will cover white balance. In the look node, we will cover contrast, S-curve, a post adjustment, because once you add contrast, usually, you know, maybe the shadows get a bit crushed or the colors become oversaturated. So I like to have an adjustment node before I go into the film look creator. Okay, and we're going to turn that off for now. And then that should be good enough for our look build. Then for the output, okay, we're going to have 2 after this, the Kodak and then the LUT, and then maybe another node at the end, just to do some final touches. I'm going to call this Kodak LUT. Now, we're going to cover the input system. I see a lot of people online, and even some of my friends, they convert to Rec 709 and then they edit everything after the Rec 709 conversion. You want to make sure that you're not doing this to give yourself the biggest leeway and the biggest leverage in terms of pushing colors, shapes, lights. So you always want to work in the DaVinci wide gamut space and then convert to Rec 709 as late as you can. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to set up our image to make sure that we have the most amount of success, and that means exposure and white balance. Remember guys, when you're shooting your footage, you always want to make sure you nail this pre-production. But of course, we're going to also do it in the post. And when it comes to setting up, as opposed to the look build, when it comes to setting up our image, we want to make decisions based on data, not emotion. The emotion and the look can come later on, but if we go to our waveform, we can see that our highlights are kind of pushed through the roof, and these are probably that information right there. And we've got some really deep shadows, which is probably this base over here and the night sky. Most people online, they would tell you, oh, you don't want to be slamming the floor or pushing the ceiling, but I've learned, like as I said, there are not really that many rules. The only rule you want to make sure is that your skin tones are quite visible. I'm going to turn my qualifier on and I'm going to zoom in on this girl's, the brightest part of her face, which is probably her cheek. And I can see we are sitting around at the mid table on the waveform. Now I want to slightly raise that so that we are pushing more 6s, 7s and 8s. But for this image, because it is a nighttime footage, I suspect we will only be hitting maybe 5s and 6s. What I'll do is I'll use the gamma and a bit of the gain. I'll reduce the highlights just so they don't overpower our midtones, and I'll drop the lift. But with that, her skin tones is going to pop. Now we'll go to our white balance, and we can tell that this image is shot in straight light, which is why we have that green tinge. So we don't want to shift it. Again, we don't want to, you know, follow the exact playbook. Yes, the rule is you want skin tones, you know, to follow the skin line, but we can just do a slight twist of the hue to follow closer to that, and then cool it off a bit, okay? Just so that it's a little bit more standard. Now I'm happy with that. We'll come out, we'll go to our look node, okay? And this is where we'll start to build. What we'll do first is we'll add default anchors just to protect the midtones and the skin. And I'll just drop ever so slightly, just to input some contrast. I will do maybe a little bit of contrast in here and then push the pivot to the right. That's before and after. Now for the S curve, okay, what I'll do is I'll raise the floor a bit and I'll drop. So I'll actually use editable spin lines. And I'll raise that and I'll drop that. And that's just going to give us a clean roll off. Now what I can see is after doing this, the exposure has dropped significantly, which is why with the adjust node, I'm just going to raise the global and the HDR wheels, slightly drop. So these three adjustments that we've just done, okay, it's a bit of contrast, but also a bit of roll off, just to give it a more dramatic look. Now I'll throw in my film look creator. Okay, I'm going to enable a split tone and increase it ever so slightly. I'm going to turn off my halation and bloom. And grain. Going to keep the bloom on. All right. And then I'm going to go back to my adjust node. And again, I'm going to input a little bit of magenta to balance that out. Now, if we look at what we've done so far, that's an excellent film look build, okay? I'm going to reduce this a little bit because I do think it's a bit strong, especially once we put our Kodak look on it. Then I'm going to go to my output, okay? And now we're ready to see what it looks like properly. We've been converting to Rec 709 and editing for the Rec 709 image. Now we know what it looks like. But now let's convert this to Cineon film log. And I'm going to go to my Kodak node, okay? And I'm going to go over here to film looks. This is going to be really helpful. How crazy does that look? So usually I like to use this one, Kodak 2383 D60 or D55. For this one, I do think the D55 is a little bit cleaner. So by the way, guys, now that we are applying our Kodak look, okay, you don't have to put in your LUT, and probably if you were making like a professional short film or a movie or a documentary, you wouldn't want to push it too far. But because we are working for your YouTube channels and your personal brand, it's okay, you know, to have that little extra look to it. So I'm gonna throw my LUTs on it, which you can find down below. So I'm gonna go over here, and I've got several LUTs. So I've got this game LUT, I've got the Haze LUT, I've got the Megan Fox LUT, which is inspired by Transformers. I've got the Hustle and Flow, which is obviously inspired by that movie. Mode, which is a derivative of this, okay, with a slightly different, more tint in it. And Uncut Gems. Now for this one, I'm gonna throw in my Mode LUT, and I'm gonna decrease the gain to about 0.5. A little bit of sauce. Now when it comes to the post adjustment, this is where we will start adding effects. So I'm going to add 3 effects, and I'm going to call this halation, highlights, grain. I'm going to add some halation in here, and I'm going to decrease the global blend because it is a bit much, just a little bit. Now, as you can see, you know, we're going crazy on the vector scope. But as I said, there are no rules here, okay? We're not making cinemas. We're not making Netflix movies. We're making shit to look dope on YouTube. I'm going to adjust the highlights again just a little bit because they are a bit overbearing. I'm going to increase my gamma, decrease my lift, and I'm going to slightly desaturate it, and I'm going to add some grain. This looks absolutely incredible. And as you can see, building a film look such as this is not actually that crazy, but if you are a beginner and you're in the beginning stages, that can take quite a bit of time, especially if you're not, you know, that familiar with the program. So what I've done is I've actually gone ahead and I've packaged my signature POWERGRADE. A POWERGRADE that you can just drag and drop onto any file, and it's gonna give you the most amazing results, right? This is the exact same POWERGRADE that I've used over the past 1.5 years to grow to over 100,000 subscribers on my main channel and over 1 million followers across TikTok and Instagram. I've got a very distinct look online that is absolutely going viral. So if you want guaranteed results with consistency, ease of application, and optimized workflow, then I'm gonna show you my POWERGRADE right now, which you can find down below attached with my LUTs. So what I'm going to do over here now is I'm going to attach this one that I've got of Artlist, and I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to throw on my personal POWERGRADE, this one. So if you guys want, you can find this down below. I just throw it on and it's all built out, and it's a little bit more advanced, right? So that it can work for anything. But when you get this POWERGRADE, it comes with a video which teaches you exactly how to use it. And it also has skin adjustments, a warmth node to even get a more filmic look. And in the film node, you've got some extra adjustments in here, such as a post-contrast node. And you've got this edge control. Now, the difference within film and digital, right? You can try emulate film as much as you want with digital cameras, but the edges are always going to be a little bit sharper than what film is. So what I've gone and done is I've actually attached an adjustment in here that softens edges. But if we go to the Rec 709 out, we can see the same basic skeleton, but in here we've got a few things. We've got a post color adjustment and a post exposure adjustment. If we go here, let's start this. So this was filmed with reds. Perfect. Now this is pretty good exposure on its own, and we can just see by going to the waveform that this is pretty cool. But what I'm going to do is, as always, I'm going to drop the lift a little bit, just turn on my warmth node, okay, which is playing with a little bit of the curves in here. If I was focusing on people, I could turn on my skin adjustments. This will affect the skin, and this will affect everything behind you as the subject, which is really useful for talking heads. I'm going to go into my film node. I'm going to turn on my contrast, my post contrast, my S-curve, my film node. Now that we're over here, I'm going to quickly convert this to Cineon, as we've said before, and I'm going to turn on my Kodak. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my LUT, post color. Okay, I'm going to turn the post color node on. I'm going to add a little bit of greens. I'm going to warm it up a bit, decrease the gain of this node. And look at that, we're pretty much done. So just for reference, okay, this is what we have. I'm going to pause here. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to delete everything we've done. Just turn it off. And then you can see exactly our workflow, what it has done. In literally a couple of seconds, okay? And then just to show you how powerful a power grade such as this is, I'm literally just gonna copy and paste and then make a few key adjustments. And I'm gonna decrease and there you go. That's how you would use a successful power grade. So now let's look at what we've done here. So we've got log footage here, and if I press play, so guys, you've just watched me build my solid signature film look that has gained me hundreds of thousands, millions over TikTok and Instagram using my short 20 to 30 second application of my power grade on my LUT. Okay, if that helped you, imagine what you would have with a full system behind you. And that's what the Creators HQ is. I've built a large online community of content creators so that they can connect and develop their skills in a massive network. Inside the Creators HQ, you get over 10 plus hours of course content, everything from what cameras to get, how to set up your camera, what does ISO, aperture mean, ND filters, to color grading masterclasses, live workshops, weekly breakdowns, and real community feedback from me and all the other members. Every month inside the Creators HQ, I host a live masterclass and let everyone join so they can watch me and also ask questions and learn off each other. So if you want your content to go to that next level and develop a strong personal brand that one day can monetize, well then I highly suggest you check out the Content Creators HQ down below, okay? 10 plus hours, all my power grades, LUTs, information from the pure basics to advanced workflows, denoise, it's all in there. Right now I'm running a special deal on the Creators HQ. It's usually $80 a month, but right now it's less than $1 a day. And like I said, once a month we do a live workshop and you can get on a phone call with me, ask me questions, and we go from there. So if that sounds like something that would interest you in developing your skills, check the Creators HQ down below. This deal will not last. It's just a special right now for this first video of my YouTube channel. And guys, like I said, if you want my power grade and my LUT, that's also down in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments what you want to learn next, and I'll see you in the next one.